All right, hello, welcome everybody to Illuvium Arena House League. We have our 20th week, and it is going to be an awesome one. We have 4 matches worth of Illuvium Arena coming on through here today. This is going to be exciting. We would have had our very first full Carablu Cup lobby. Heck, we still very well might by the end of the day here with the bump ups coming into effect. But we, for the first time, will for sure have 2 Carablu Cup lobbies. It's awesome to see the newcomers coming in droves over the last couple of days. I'm looking forward to starting us off with a bunch of at least new faces, or some new faces to me, some old veterans, potentially veterans, which sounds interesting for Carablu, but it's been a little bit. But of course, Carablu Cup is now ownership off, so we are going to be on a completely even playing field. There will be no differences in terms of the Illuvials, their stats, or anything that makes the game a little bit difficult to actually get into. We do not have to worry about that at all in the slightest here today. So it's going to be a fun time to see how it's going. Getting our first lobby started up here with the Carablu Cup while we monitor the lobby and see who's all made it in so far. We do have 2, so we're getting there. 2 out of 5 here today. So with that, we'll take a look at our very first matchup. And the prizes, of course, associated with them. Again, 4 matches in the docket here. We're going to start off with Carablu Cup lobby number 1. We do have I just made it. Brand new face to me, Z Nexus Gamer. New face to me here as well. Good to see the 2 newcomers coming on through. We have a couple of old faces around here as well, though. Zexy making a return here for the Carablu Cup. Warrior Ace, the Ace Man, coming on through. And then for the first time here in Illuvium Arena House League, we've got Reem joining us here as well. Not just in the chat this time, joining us in the game here as well. Let's go. Looking forward to seeing everybody in the battlefield. Then we'll have our Carablu Cup C main right after that. We're going to have Awaken from Mad Dogs, Ethan, Robert Tacho, Kira, Matter One, and Ballistics. Some of our more experienced Carablus, if that makes sense. Going to be filling up that last one. And of course, those 2 slots as well. We could see the bump up. Maybe a couple of our players from the D main making the move on up here as well. Speaking of which, good to see everybody here as well. We do have Awaken in chat. We've got Wolverine. We've got Kevin Hawthorne. Good afternoon. We've got Zexy. We've got Robert Tacho, Thanatos, Ethan. Again, good to see everybody. Looking forward to seeing you on the battlefield. We're going to have a little bit of an odd spot here in the B main. Of course, I did split up the lobbies in the Monarch Masters just a little bit differently. So we're going to have originally... This would have been our Lynx League, but it's the Lynx side of things, or the B main side of things here for the Monarch Masters is going to be a little bit light. So we're going to have 3 players jumping on in here. We've got Hunter from Mad Dogs. We've got Blazin' and Coyote Hype. As it stands right now, you'd think that it'd be easy pickings for the wins, for the prizes, but of course, Carablu Cup players could also make a jump and maybe take a stab at some more practice, or more practice and more prizes. So we'll see how that goes. And last but not least, we'll have our Monarch Masters main event with Hector from Mad Dogs. We've got Wolverine 777 hype. We've got Kirito hype. We've got Texan. We've got Thanatos. And then, of course, potentially, as it stands right now, maybe all 3 of these players could bump up, or maybe somebody makes an upset in the Carablu Cup. We'll have to see. We're getting into lobby as we speak. Going to quickly take a look and see where everybody's at. I've got 4 out of 5, so that's a good start here. As it stands right now, I've got Warrior Ace, I've got Zexy, I've got Reem, I've got Z Nexus Gamer. I'm just waiting for IL. Just waiting to see if IL will come on through. We'll give them about 5 minutes or so to get on in here. Now, Ethan, you're actually in lobby 2, so you have a little bit of time. I know that's odd. Normally, Carablu Cup, you're always going to be first. But oddly enough, you're probably one of the favorites of sorts in the Carablu Cup secondary lobby. Or not the secondary, but the harder lobby, if I were to say so myself. Because that's what I tried to do for today's first initial split, is I have Cup D, or have some of the people who I've either not seen in a while, or newcomers. I'm going to have them play it out first. Then, like, I know our 6 here, I know you can ball. I know you can absolutely crush it. Not saying that the players in D main can't, because they absolutely can. But just trying to split it up a little bit to start things off. More matches, more prizes, more fun here on stream. One more time for IL. Going to quickly ping them one more time. I'll send that over one more time and give them just a brief moment. I'll say, I'm not trying to insult anybody with what I was saying there before, so my apologies if it came off that way. Now, everybody here can absolutely crush it. I'm looking forward to this matchup. It's been a busy day for myself as well. Of course, those that may just have been joining in now, expecting the stream for my normal time slot, we did have a stream earlier this morning as well. Of course, the Obelisk Rising playtest came through, and yours truly did get an invite. I'm allowed to stream. So I've been basically doing my entire adventure with the exception of the grinding portion. So like your harvesting materials or whatever, I'll do that off stream. But the actual adventure, catching Illuvials and such, I've been doing just in stream time. So if looking into what the potential future of Illuvium can be with the new creature capture style game, the adventure game, then be sure to take a look sometime after Illuvium Arena. But as always, even though Obelisk Rising might have that new car smell added to it, it doesn't mean that I'm ignoring Arena. Arena will still be a mainstay here for House League. You envy my energy, you'd be drained. I am tired. I won't lie to you. But we have a lot of fun ahead of me, and it keeps me motivated. And thankfully, the kids didn't kick my ass too badly here today, so we're all right. All right, one more minute here for IL. When it says 3:38 on my screen, I will make the switch and we'll turn it on, get the game going. Okay, there it goes. Any sort of Discord message. Unfortunately for IO, we won't be able to catch them this time by, but I look forward to trying again by all means. So let's see. Let's start this lobby. Good luck. Have fun, everybody. Zexy, Warrior Ace, Reem, Z-Nexus Gamer. Good luck. Have fun. We will join you in lobby here in just a couple of moments. Give them a couple moments to get started off and going. And I honestly have no idea where this matchup can go. It's a little bit odd as well because, again, Carablu Cup is now completely ownership off, which means anybody can take it here. Because if I was going strictly off of collection, I know Warrior Ace has a lot of their Illuvials in like the 30s to 40s. I think Zexy and Reem are like right there behind them. And then Z-Nexus Gamer is a complete wild card because they were the kind of player that Carablu Cup was originally designed for that player that has next to nothing or just starting out, that they can then collect Illuvials just by playing the game. They don't have a single Illuvial. So I'm so happy that by the end of the week here, after we do this week in Illuvium, no matter what, we will be getting Z-Nexus Gamer their very, very first Illuvials, which is going to be exciting. I'm curious as to what to choose. But with there being 4 players, there also happens to be some packs coming out to everybody. I did change up the format a little bit in regards to the prizing alongside this rework. So let me take a look at that real quick here with y'all as we're loading into game. So for this matchup in particular, the Carablu Cup second lobby, the D main, we do have the winner walking away with 3 packs, second with 2, third and fourth will both be receiving 1. And since we do have only 4 here today, it means that no matter what, everybody's grabbing a pack. But the amount of community rescue support is still on the line as well. And then with there being the potential for the bump up as well. Going into the C main, try again. Can you potentially score some of that? There is no rule against only being able to pick one prizing from one division. You take the bump and score prizing, you get both. So that is definitely a motivator for players to keep on pushing, even if you feel like you might be at a disadvantage skill-wise, collection-wise, whatever it happens to be. Give it a shot, because you never know. You make the run, you can go for gold. We got 4 out of 8. That's correct. Yep. All right, let's go. This will be fun. We've not done casual in a couple of weeks here. We did a casual spin-off week. I think it was, what, week 15 or something like that? 15 or 16? But since then, it's all been ownership on. And here we go. Right as the weapons go live, we have our very first matchup of the day. Carablu Cup D-Main. Let's see how this goes. Our players here for today. We've got Reem. We've got Warrior Race. We've got Zexy. And we have Z-Nexus Gamer. Z-Nexus Gamer and Reem, both newcomers here to the House League side of things. I feel like Reem's been around for a little while. They have a little collection for themselves. But while they might have a bunch of holos, that doesn't necessarily lead to immediate success on to the arena battlegrounds nonetheless. But looking forward to seeing how that Reem and everybody does here in battle here today. As we see, it might not be Leviathan mode, but we got Lynxes, we got Holo Lynxes, and that's going to be Reem taking out the bot. Our region here for today is going to be Crimson Waste. We are going to be on essentially speedrun mode through this game, because every time you take damage, well, you're just going to be taking 2 more damage, and that adds up quickly, so be careful if you're trying to lose streak. Since ownership is off, bots won't go ballistic. I mean, ballistics is in the second lobby, so you might want to check in with them. But in terms of the bots going completely overpowered because of average level, you are completely correct. Sorry, I had to do that at least once. In terms of weapons here for today, let's see what everybody's picking up. Reem is going to be picking up the Arrow Edge, your air fighter weapon. Warrior Ace with the Sprout Guard, your Earth Scion shield. Zexy loaded up with the Strike Boomerang, your ranged fire fighting weapon. And then last but not least, the Z-Nexus Gamer with the Tidal Shift, a very, very deadly weapon as well, turning that Ranger into a carry in its own right. So it will be an interesting one. Everybody's playing something different, which is really, really cool to see. I had to do it, I'm sorry. We have our first player versus player battle here, and of course, with there being no ownership, your actual level in game, pushing it is going to be a big way that you can gain an advantage. And Zexy, completely willing to just blow everything in terms of credits to get the fastest 5 fire I think I've seen. That was almost 6 fire, but a very fast level 6 compared to Reem, who is level 5. But the one big difference I will make note of is the Lynx on the side of Reem does have 2 augments. Meanwhile, here for Zexy, there is only the 1 augment onto the tank. But the numbers game might just make that moot. It looks like Zexy, with the big firepower of that 5 fire team, is going to be able to absolutely melt through what Reem was cooking that time by. But still very much so in the early game. In fact, of our players, Reem is doing the best in terms of economy. Still has 40 credits to their name, so even though they might be taking a little bit of damage, that's all right. They've got the economy, they've got the late game. As long as they don't take too many hits, then it could be a little bit scary. As we get into the NPC round, we're going to take a look at Z-Nexus Gamer. They've taken a ton of damage off the rip here. Not dropping into the 50s or anything super scary like that, but definitely an instance where Crimson Waste can become a little bit problematic if things aren't necessarily going your way. And with what it looks like, while there are a handful of Illuvials on the bench, it's just a matter of the lineup. And with this as well, the Ranger not necessarily linked to anything, but what could you possibly link that Ranger to as it stands right now? Because the biggest thing that you could potentially do is something with Toxic, since we do have water, but we do need a nature Illuvial of some sort to be able to make that happen, which is going to put Z-Nexus Gamer in a little bit of an odd spot where the Ranger is not necessarily completely utilized. But that's all right. They can still get the jump, heck, maybe even get the jump onto that Flish if all things go their way. Greater Monkier coming on through here for ZNexus Gamer, a little bit of extra firepower there. And then how about the Carablu? It's going to essentially face tank all of this, but I like the positioning here from Reem. In theory, this Lynx and the Doka should be just charging right after the tank immediately, but hopefully they can then take that out and then turn on to the Greater Monkier. But let's take a look and see how this battle goes. Again, ZNexus, fighters, bulwarks, a little bit of a mixture of a handful of different kind of compositions. Meanwhile, Reem, fighter, rogue, bulwark, similar idea, but just lots of offense. So far, not too bad, but it does look like the Lynx and the Doka actually coming out here from Reem will be able to clean up a couple of these other Illuvials, clean up the Ranger as well. And while all that was happening, the Flish in the background was just absolutely opening fire. So Reem's going to be able to take that one. But one player I want to hop on over with here in just a moment's time will be Warrior Race. As of this moment, they have not lost a single round. They have the biggest win streak going here. And oddly enough, I promise I'm not trying to completely be glued to Reem here. But I want to take a look and see what's going on here with Warrior Ace. Level 7 currently compared to the level 5. So very heavy on the spending so far. And even though they had different weapons, everybody had different weapons going into this, there could be a bit of contesting between Warrior Ace and Zexy. They are both spending heavily to get higher up on the levels, to get some higher Illuvials, and they both seem to be going for fire. So that could be very problematic for the both of them if they keep stepping on each other's toes. But for this initial fight here, again, Warrior Ace with the 2-level advantage, really opting to push that credits just to get up there. Heck, there's even a foe, so it got a tier 5 rocking on through here. Reem will absolutely get crushed here, but that is no shot to them. That is what the 2-level difference can do. We do have ZNexus Gamer as well as Zexy going at it as well. A very close fight actually here. ZNexus with the shot will be able to get at the 2 support line actually. The Tipo and the Apon able to snap the lose streak here for ZNexus, able to get the hit here onto Zexy. Double check to make sure there's no PvP battles going on through. Doesn't look like it, so let's hop on over with Zexy for their matchup against the bots. And while we're doing so, we can do a bit of an economy check at the exact same time here. So Zexy, Warrior Ace, both of them have absolutely blown the bank to get where they are right now. Meanwhile, Reem, I was talking about a little bit earlier, in the 60s, almost in the 70s, almost maxed out on credits, almost maxed out on interest. And ZNexus Gamer kind of in the middle, actually, with 42. That's a pretty respectable bank still. A very early Alfie, actually, coming out here from one of the bots. Bot number 5 absolutely made it rain down. But it does look like Zexy's going to be able to clean this up. Just a matter of doing a little bit of battery on the Atipo, and that will leave it black and blue. But that's not because it's a Dark Hollow. That's because the Rye is up in your face, absolutely beating on you. So that's going to be a nice little win there for Zexy. Let's take a look at Warrior Race as well while this is going on through. They clean that up. Scarabok leading the charge. We should be, I believe, due for an NPC round very, very soon here, for a nice little additional influx of credits and opponents. Augments, potentially. And ZNexus Gamer going to get another win as well, so starting to hit the gas a little bit. ZNexus versus a bot, Reem versus a bot, Zexy versus a bot. Looks like everybody's still hitting the bots as of this moment. Let's ride along here with ZNexus Gamer. Silence should have been a rapper or a trapper. That's kind of funny. Now let's see what we are cooking here with ZNexus. So the one thing that I'll mention immediately too, in terms of the positioning here for the Illuvials here for ZNexus, like once they are on the board, you can absolutely move them around still. And one thing, at least right off the rip for like some earlier levels, let that Atipo essentially snuggle your tank line. Even though the Atipo is a bit of a somewhat squishier unit since it's an empath, if it does manage to get its shields out, it can actually be like maybe a little bit above average in terms of tankiness for an Illuvial. So pair that up with your other fist fighter, like pair that up near the Monkier, pair that up near the Grocco or the Carablu. And it does extend the amount of health that Illuvial could potentially, or the amount of damage, rather, that Illuvial can absolutely take. So we hit the NPC round. Let's hop in with our current leader. Warrior Ace has finally taken some damage. So the flawless run, the win streak is now gone. But now let's take a look at the economy once again. Z Nexus 69, very, very nice level of economy. Going to be maxed out by the time this NPC round finishes. Reem 69 as well. They couldn't have planned that if they tried, but it worked out right now. It looks like we're going towards potentially Mud, potentially Berserker. We do have a little Riptor coming on through. We have an Exalted Air Doga, so we're going to see a fully evolved Doga coming through here. And of course that relies on getting at least a Greater Monk here, so that is going to be for some Berserker play coming on through. And I mean, God forbid, if you manage to land Rip Lance, that is, again, one of the best single target DPS units, if not the best single target unit in the game. They've got Warrior Ace and Z-Nexus going to be going at it. Level 8 for Z-Nexus, level 9 actually, all the way through. If Warrior Ace's plan was to consistently try to out-level, well, Z-Nexus just blew the bank to get way ahead. This is an absolute Zerg rush. That is incredible to see, and there's a lot of Illuvials that can absolutely come onto the board and start wreaking havoc. We'll have to see how that ends up turning out as this moment. And for Warrior Race, they do have the double synchronizing pulse reactor onto that little Fury, and we get a little bit of additional chaos coming on through. Is that a magma chip I see? Which means we got composite chips in play, adding additional chaos in the form of new affinities, the powerful affinities as well, to everybody. We'll go through the field and see what everybody's cooking with in just a couple of moments. A very, very close battle to start this one off here. The Link's off to the right-hand side. It's not going to be really in range to heal anybody, but is the numbers game going to be enough, or is the positioning from Warrior Ace just going to be good enough to get this done? The Fury is still very slowly opening fire, and I think the positioning might have just been able to do it. So valiant effort on both sides, but Warrior Ace's squad going to be able to do some serious damage here to Z-Nexus, knocking them below 50, but still 43. Still have a couple lives left. Reem going up against the bot. Zexy going up against the bot here as well. Let's take a look at those composite chips. We have a Behemoth imprint incoming. That is actually kind of devastating. I know one of the craziest combos that you can do in this game. Put that Behemoth chip onto a Furiox and get ranged stuns for days. How about for Reem? What chip did they get? It's actually Berserker. So if they're intending on going for Berserker, they've got it. And heck, it's Toxic Berserker. Let's ride along here with Reem for this one and see just how much damage this does. They're almost at 7 fighter here as well, which is at the point where the fighters actually start regenerating a little bit every couple of attacks, I believe. So we'll get the confirmation on that here in just a second. But just look at how quickly, again, there is no alluvial stat boost, but a tsunami chip Alfie. That is actually kind of terrifying coming out here from the bot. Yeah, I do not blame. Wow, that is incredibly close. The bot's going to get the win, but the tsunami coming through. Again, tsunami chips are just borderline stupid with how crazy they can make alluvials. I know I was having a little bit of fun on the ranked ladder a couple of days ago where I put a tsunami chip on an Aphisto, and that thing was just absolutely striking lightning down like it was nobody's business. Honestly, looked like a rave out there, but with that, the bot's going to be able to get the win. So just got too much good value out of that attack, out of that big ol' devastating surge. Now, I was talking about the fighter buff, so it is not every couple of attacks for 7 fighters. It's, in fact, every attack. So 7 fighter, you heal 5% of the damage you deal. So hitting that 7 threshold alongside Berserker, which does let you act very, very similarly, is a huge milestone to have to be able to hit. We do see Zexy. They did make the adjustment bringing that Behemoth imprint onto the Furiox. That Furiox is also loaded up to do additional max health damage as the fight goes on, but it is going to be swarmed upon. The fighters are right in their face, but again, that Furiox, it can stun, but the Doka directly on top of them, The untargetability from that phase breaker does buy a few extra seconds, but not enough. Zexy down to 16, Z-Nexus Gamer down to 8, and we could potentially see some knockouts here in the next couple of rounds if things don't go the way of Zexy and Z-Nexus. Warrior Race, though, does seem to have had a disconnect potentially here. They are in the gray, and it's too far along in the game for me to be able to do anything, unfortunately. But maybe they've built enough of a team that they can keep on going. Hopefully they can reconnect in the best case scenario. But now here for Z-Nexus, they have the big old line of scrimmage right across the center, or right across the top of the top of the line here, the bottom of the line, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty much dead center. You know what I mean. Almost a 5 bulwark squad, but here comes the fighter. 7 fighter now online here for Ream. Things go their way. They will absolutely knock Z-Nexus out of the game here. And as it stands, it looks like the heals just aren't going to reach where they need to go. The Monkier shredding on through alongside the Singe and Railu. Rip Lance is onto the links, and with that, we will lose Z-Nexus Gamer. We'll also lose Zexy as well. Going to get knocked out at the same time here. So, GG's nonetheless here for Zexy and Z-Nexus. You are still absolutely going to be getting a little something for participating with us here today. So regardless of the results, I do hope you had a fun time joining us, and would love to see you again sometime soon. NPC rounds coming on through. Warrior Race is going to be leading this, but it's because they've been AFK for the last little bit due to a potential disconnect. So Ream could be very well in a position maybe for the late game to potentially overthrow Warrior Race if they cannot come back. That's not the way that I would love to see it happen, but I mean, you take the advantage of the opportunities that you are given. Warrior Ace going to be going up against one of the bots. Same thing here with Ream. Let's take a look at Warrior Race for a second, see if there's any life to the field. It does not look like it. I don't see anything in the Discord either, so potentially an unfortunate situation here for Warrior Race, but we'll have to see as we go on through our next couple of rounds. And then Carablu Cup players as well, please do stick around because, of course, there are still a few positions available for the next matchup. I offer in order of placement, but of these 2 spots that are available, if someone wants to come play again and have the shot at some prizes, you're absolutely more than welcome to try again. Just wait till I offer it to you first. Don't immediately just jump in. Okay, so please do stick around, and we'll see how it goes. Now, because of the DC, how does Warrior Race's team do in the instance where they're kind of forced to go on autopilot? Oddly enough, they're not doing too bad, but I think they are going to be not out DPS, but they are going to be just out positions, potentially out DPS, or they're just going to get outpaced because they're not available to actually get the play. So that's a little unfortunate here for Warrior Race. It's going to start bleeding out a little bit, which means it's on to Ream, potentially, to turn this around and take the game. Again, with a full fighter squad. No, actually, you're good. You'd be eligible. You'd be the 3rd person I ask in this instance here. Now, you want to see something kind of crazy. Harbinger Flood coming out here from one of these bots here. That could be absolutely terrifying. Of course, a lot of people sleep on the Flood in regards to how much damage it could actually put out. But I've watched enough Big Man JB streams to know that you can actually turn that Flood into a pseudo carry. And it is kind of hilarious when you can pull it off. So if you get Harbinger on that thing, it can be crazy. As it loses damage, that rain hits harder. And you look at that, a lot of those fighters did kind of melt. But the thing is, though, those fighters can continue to sustain as this fight continues. And with that, even though those health bars are extremely low, they might be able to pull through. But they're going up against that Tsunami Ranger once again. And the Ranger is going to clean it up. Ream going to be knocked down to 18. but now has to go up against Warrior Ace's team, which I do not believe has been touched yet in a little bit. So 128 credits in the bank here for Warrior Ace, unfortunately. But Reem is starting to find some upgrades. That is a Berserker Forest coming on through here for Reem. Where do the Illuvials line up as of this moment? It's still a pretty de facto solid spot here for Warrior Ace. So all things considered, their team is lined up pretty well. But we're going to see a bit of a pseudo bunker coming on through here with the fighter team. Don't see that too often, but that's a solid line of scrimmage coming on through here from the entirety of this fighter squad here from Reem. But it's allowing for that Furiox to get some decent value out of the AoE aspect of its Omega. But just look at that. The tank line absolutely just blew up. And with that, Reem going to be keeping themselves in the game, knocking Warrior Ace down. And I tell you what, if a bot can knock them down and Reem can hang on one more round, they could be in position to take the win here in this game. We have another Harbinger chip coming on through here for this bot. They moved it off of the Flood. This is the Maniac Tsunami bot coming on through. Lots of damage onto that Furiox potentially. The Ranger will take a look actually as well, because Aqua Blaster Tsunami Ranger is probably one of the most devastating Ranger DPS builds that you can go for. But whereas those ghosting screams from these from the forest is in a good spot to be able to actually even tag the Furiox, so not too bad. But now that forest is right in the face of everything else before the rest of its fighters even get there. There is some big shots from both the ghosting screams and the Ranger, but with the Ranger down, Reem will be able to clutch us up, I do believe. There it goes. The Ranger tried to carry, but it's not going to be enough. We have an NPC round to potentially set up for the finale. The Tsunami bot, I mean, again, it's a very, very terrifying team. But if Warrior Ace can't get back into the game, Reem might be able to take it no matter what. Because again, in terms of the positioning, I'm only counting the real players. I don't care where the bots finish. Were you first of the players, that is first place prizing. Would absolutely hate it here for Warrior Ace, though, if they did get a power outage or some sort of disconnect or something that knocked them out here today. But I'm still thankful we can give them a little bit. Internet down right during the battle time. We did get the update here from Warrior Ace. Absolutely heartbreaking, but I mean, there is still a world where Reem could potentially take an incredible amount of damage. The Ghost of Reem is actually in position to take care of Warrior Ace as well. I'm genuinely terrified of this bot's team, though. Jotun coming on through, so I mean the Behemoth Berserkers? 7-fighter Berserker Behemoth. That's absolutely incredible. Let's see how it goes. Where do those behemoths go? They immediately got into the fighters, but they're going to be leaving that Umber alone. But the Riptorus is right there alongside the Monk Gear and the Ranger. They clean it up. And with that big carry down, they now just have to deal with that Sinolf. And that currently, that Riptorus is able to take care of it. Can they jump the Alfie? They absolutely can do so. It's going to be a very close battle. The Ranger nearly clutches it out. And we do end up losing Warrior Ace. They did get taken down by the Ghost of Reem. So on their debut here, Reem, you are going to win a Carablu Cup match. Congratulations. Good to have you on through. Please do stick around. We'd love to have you in our next lobby as well. So what I will say right here, right now, I'm going to get ready to set up the lobby for the next game. So Reem and Warrior Ace, if you two are able or willing to play another round, you can hop into the next match. If one of you cannot do it, Zexy, you are next. If you can't do it, then Z-Nexus will be offered as well. We'll go in order of finishing position. But let's see, one final battle here to close out this first matchup. Big shot from the Sinolf. Little adjustment from the bot, actually, to move that Umber. Got it into a scary spot to where the Furiox finally does die. But now that is going to be, once again, that Sinolf going to get taken down. If anything, you probably want that Singe not spinning. You just want it to be using its stun. And with that, there it goes. Just to make it official, Reem gonna win a Carablu Cup match here in the Illuvium Arena House League. Congratulations. All right, so with that, we will document it down right here, right now. Give Warrior another chance. Unlucky DC. They still got second. So that's why they're going to be one of the first picks here to get into Lobby 2. If they're able to get on in, then hell yeah. If internet's still down, then it is what it is, and I do feel bad, but unfortunately not much I can do. Alright, let's get that written down, the results for that matchup. Reem says that they are down for another match. Okay, perfect. We'll go again with ya. Trying to get my spreadsheets all in order. Bear with me. Okay. So Reem will take slot 7 here in the Carablu Cup C main. Now it's up to Warrior Ace. I'm going to message them right now. And depending on how that goes is where our final player will be. Call its internet provider. It's pitchfork time. I believe it. Nothing more infuriating. Especially since 99% of the times when it is an internet issue, there's not much that you can have done to control it. I'll give about 3 minutes here for Ace Man, for Warrior Ace, to let me know what they want to do. If there's no response, I will pass the offer over to Zexy. That's cool. And then Z-Nexus, good to, of course, see you here as well. My apologies that I don't have an immediate translator on hand for quick fixing here. But I do definitely appreciate you for coming on through. Would love to have you back again. And no matter what, there is still a bunch of Illuvials coming your way. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can get you kind of as your starter kit, so to speak. And maybe we can get you a big gun if we're lucky. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, so I'll wait until it says 4:10 my time, but I can get the lobby made here for the next matchup. That I can do. Now, Ethan, I think you needed the code through chat, so I'm going to fire that through right here, right now. Do it that way. Monitor lobby. Okay, Ballistics got it as well through there. Perfect. And then additionally for this matchup, this had Kira, Matter, Robert Tacho, Reem. I know you said you'd be right back. Oh, you did just say you're back. Okay, you're perfect. Perfect timing. Awaken. And then I'll ping Ballistics and Eth it anyway, but I know you're already here. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7, and then we're waiting on our last one. Okay. I have no word from Ace Man. Zexy, you want in? All right, code just got pinged to you here in the Discord. Or if you would like to take the one from the chat, it's the same thing, so you're all good there. All right, Sexy's already there. Matter, Reem, Ethan, Ballistics, Awaken, Kira. Just missing one. Just missing Robert Tacho. They were just there in Discord, though, so I imagine they'll be in just a moment. Water breather while we wait for Robert Tacho. Okay, they are on Discord. Yeah, there we go. No, I don't see you on my screen. Now, I hesitate because when this does happen, even though Robert Dacho, they did just send me a link, they're in the lobby. But if I don't see them here, then there's problems. Okay, there they are. They just made it in. Potentially a little bit of lag, or maybe it was just a matter of rejoining. Good luck, fun have. Apparently, I did not spell that properly. There we go. All right. With all players in lobby, we will get started with our Carablu Cup main event. Let's get in there in 3, 2, 1. Fire it off. For the first time, that's right, this title of the stream was not clickbait. We've got a full Carablu Cup lobby. That's awesome. For the community rescue, is there anything specific that, or can it be anything? You'd love to send some my way. Definitely appreciate the consideration. That means a ton. And there is no minimums for the community rescue. The entire point for the community rescue is so that people can get an alluvial to call their own of that species. If they want to worry about TPI and stats or levels or something like that, they can figure that out for themselves after the fact. But just to get something to call yours, that's what community rescue's for. So I don't care if it has 0 TPI. I will gladly accept anything that we can house here over at the community rescue. to continue to kickstart the players here on their Illuvium adventure. Because especially when you're still trying to figure out whether you even like the game or not, it's scary. Like, I get it. It's similar to like if I was playing a traditional card game, right? If I don't know if I like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or if I like Magic the Gathering or something like that, going out and immediately buying a deck before if I know if I like it or not is kind of terrifying. It's a big barrier to entry for a lot of people. So if there's some sort of way where you can try it free to play, and then figuring out what you like first, while maybe being able to collect a couple cards while you're doing that, that's the idea behind the Carablu Cup and the Community Rescue. So yeah, it's literally just a matter of having the piece, having the creature, and then absolutely, if you're completely willing to do so for some donations, that's absolutely incredible. I thank you very, very much. Just make sure it hops over to my silent events profile. Don't send it to my main one, because the silent events one, that one for sure never touches Deathmatch, never touches the Illuvidex, never plays Arena either. That is just a sanctuary for all of the Illuvials to live until they're sent to their new rightful Ranger owners. Or partners, rather. But enough yapping from me. It's game time. Let's get into this. We have our second matchup, and for the first time in Illuvium Arena House League, we've got ourselves a full Carablu Cup lobby. This is going to be an extremely exciting one. Looking forward to this all week. We do have in this lobby, we've got Ballistics, we've got Kira, we've got Ethit, we have Zexy, we have Robert Tacho, we've got Matter One, we've got Reem, and last but not least, we have Awaken Mad Dogs. Our region here today, you can see all this beautiful pink splattered all over the place with all these incredible looking crystals. Well, that's because we're at Crystal Shores, and we're going to be getting a free shop reroll every single time you fuse. Load the bench up with those tier zeros, evolve them, and then sell them away pretty much immediately. Get those free shop rerolls to truly maximize on building your team, especially early. Can you send a screenshot to the Discord? I can absolutely make an updated screenshot for sure. And David, you're very, very, again, unfortunately don't have the translator, but I believe you're very welcome. Thank you so much for playing here today. Would love to have you back sometime soon. We were out along here with round one here with Ballistics. Let's see how they do versus Robert Tacho as we go over the weapons for this matchup. I'm seeing very little orange. No, there's no orange here whatsoever. That's a little unusual, and that's going to be because we got Ballistics with the Grove Fighter for the Grove Sword. That's going to be your Nature Fighter weapon. Kira with the Earthgrass Scepter, the Earth Scion weapon. Zexy looking for Rogue, Vinebound Cleaver in hand. We've got ourselves another Earthgrass Scepter. This time it's coming from Ethit. We've got another Grove Sword coming on through here for Reem. We saw how much they love the fighters in the first game. Can we see it again potentially? We have Awaken, Rogue Weapon in hand, Tidal Shiv, maybe a little bit of contesting between Awaken and Zexy incoming. We do have Robert Tacho, the Tempest Lance. They've been really loving Shock lately. Is this the setup for maybe some sort of Shock play? And last but not least, we have Matter One, who has also got the Tidal Shiv in hand. That is 3 rogues in today's Carablu Cup main event, with a bunch of Scions also in the mix here as we're going to watch Ethit versus Matter One. I know, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we had a pretty exciting moment here for Ethit where we were able to get them a little bit of a closer combo. We had seen so many times in the past version of Carablu Cup where Ethit would get an incredible early game, incredible mid game, but something was missing. That final blow of sorts was always missing, and we were thankfully able, thanks to the assistance of the Community Rescue, able to get Ethit not just an Octius for their air-based team, but an Aphisto as well. So some big tier 5 killers now on the roster here for Ethit. Now, of course, with this being ownership off, the the actual ownership and the levels and whatnot, not going to matter. But I can imagine, since we had seen the Earthgrass Scepter in hand here for Ethit, that maybe Scions are on the brain, maybe Dust Invoker, if you can lock in with that Aphisto. At the NPC round, let's take a look and see what everybody's cooking in regards to economy. Kira absolutely blown the bank. Matter one, I feel like those two essentially play identically at some points here, where they're both completely unafraid to just spend very early. Ethit currently has the best economy, short to follow by Robert Tacho, two of our longtime Carablu Cup veterans coming on through here, keeping a pretty decent economy, with Awaken very close as well. They're in a bit of a pinch, though, because they can't save anywhere near as much since they're racing other Rangers for Rogue. That is going to make it extremely difficult to try and play an economy game, especially when Matter 1 and Zexy have been spending very heavily. One player that's also been spending heavily, though, has been Kira. We see them going up against Ethit right here, Ethit in the green side of things. That Lalura made quick work out of the Ranger, so the Earthgrass Scepter gone. Meanwhile, Kira also with the Earthgrass Scepter in hand, but this is a pretty heavy rogue team. Looking at that Nimble Lynx doing a pretty significant chunk of damage here onto that Atlas, takes it down, and now the Lalura is in a great spot to potentially get the double Omega. Doesn't even need it, actually. The Rogues alongside the Atlas and Ranger are going to clean things up here. Big win here for Kira. Because of that, that puts them all the way up into first place, barely ahead of Ballistics, 94 and 93 HP respectively. Blazing in chat, where's the fire? Yeah, very much. There is no Inferno, at least going to be played as of this moment. But it doesn't mean that we're short on fire alluvials. A handful of snakes starting to show up here. One for Robert Tacho, and I believe Reem had one as well. But Awaken, of course, now relatively a new addition to the Mad Dog squad. So alongside Hunter, Monster, and Hector, the team is starting to grow over there on the Mad Dog side. And it looks like even though Awaken was down a level, just a pure power of the Illuvials that they have. And again, that Tidal Shiv was able to do some great damage. The Revenant already online as well to help keep those Illuvials alive, while also still doing an absolute ton of damage. So a good little team comp coming on through here from Awaken. Dr. Spoon, good to see ya. I hope you're having a fantastic day, mate. Right, the race for the Stabbin has been won, and it wasn't by a rogue, or at least not a traditional rogue play here. Kira did end up going down in that last battle, but they are going to again be the first one to the Stabbin. They are the first one to the Lalura, so they could potentially push for Vanguard, even though the Ranger weapon wouldn't suggest it. That'd be an interesting way for things to go. Let's watch how they do versus Zexy, who does have the classic. The Verdant Vanguard is online, or at least a Verdant portion of it, because again, just trying to find that Penguin is way easier said than done when there is 3 players all playing for your Rogues. A lot of augments onto that Revo, actually, to try and be the carry, but going face-to-face up against that Penguin is going to make it a little bit nasty. Good AoE damage between that Revo alongside this Artes. Could that be enough here for Zexy to burn it down right across? Look at that Lura. It held up right in position for the ASD-130 to drop bombs on them. Beautifully done there from Zexy and their Illuvials. Shout out to the Lura for the big support play there of that Omega. Let's see our winner from the Carablu Cup first game. We see Reem going up against Ballistics. We saw Reem go for a very heavy fighter-intensive build. It looks very similar in nature here this time. Right now, currently 5 fighters on the board, but they also have a Fury here who's going to absolutely enjoy a little bit of additional attack speed that the 5 fighters will benefit you. 10 if you're not a fighter, 20 if you are a fighter. Meanwhile, Ballistics has always been doing well in their Carablu Cup matches. I don't think they've fallen out of the top 3 in the couple of times that we've had them here. And with a Berserker style come on out here for them, could be making things a little bit difficult here for Reem. Both of the Grove Sword users coming on through. Ballistics, Reem, they're both level 6, so it's going to be a relatively even battle. It's just a matter of who can actually find the kill shots. Riptorus is usually pretty good with this, but Riptorus does go down very quickly here for Ballistics. But another Illuvial that's fantastic at clutching out kills is that Nimble Lynx, and it's going to be able to get the Omega, chop on down one of the Illuvials, and then finish them off. Reem going to be knocked down to 58. But the player probably hurting the most here is going to be Matter 1. While they normally go for a heavy water-intensive build, you normally do not see them taking this much damage. They were originally going for Rogue. They were one of the title Shiv users, but they did make the switch into a more traditional full water build. We did have a couple weapon switches as well. Awaken, instead of going for the title Shiv, went for the Quake Maulers. That, of course, is the potential Granite Vanguard if things go your way, or potentially even Dust Revenant if Vanguards are contested. But one thing to note, it looks like Zexy does have a handful of those Dust units already in hand. While I may worry for Awaken in regards to the Illuvials they're chasing, one thing I'm not worried about, though, is their economy. They have 91 currently in the bank. The richest player currently in the game, still at level 5, though. I'm curious where they go from here. Level 6 seems to be the answer. Let's roll with Matter 1, actually. I want to see their 8-water team in action. They've got Toxic here as well. Kirito, good to see you. Looking forward to seeing you in a little bit later in our Monarch Masters A main. Loaded up on shards for Obelisk Rising. Found a pretty nice farming spot. Of course, massive shoutouts there to Kirito. Who was helping me a handful of times in Obelisk Rising earlier today. And we caught some pretty awesome stuff. Not just Kirito, but myself as well. But Kirito's got a pretty awesome Illuvial that we were able to work on together. That was a cool moment. Definitely recommend checking it out a little bit later. But alright, Matter, that shot from the Alfie immediately going through the Ranger as well as a couple of other Illuvials. The Riptorus got taunted. It saved its sting right in time for the Monk here. That's actually a moment where the taunt could go wrong. But some big damage coming out here from the Rogues alongside that Polar Bear. Matter 1 has been knocked down to 24. This early in the game's probably not a kill shot, but you're definitely shaking a little bit now at that HP level. I'm curious, Zexy versus Ethan, first and second, both of them with win streaks. Zexy looks like their win streak has been a little bit longer based off the brighter glowing I see from their Illuvatar, but they are currently a level down compared to Ethan. Now, one thing that's going to haunt Matter, as a part of an 8-water team, you would love to have a Rake. You'd love to have an Umber. Well, it looks like Zexy already one step ahead of you. 41 onto that Rake. I'm looking at stats, but stats don't matter right now, does it? So we're going to see how Ethan can do with the level advantage, but they have to deal with some of the highest DPS Illuvials in the game. They do have Enchanter. They do have that Kukaloose that is ready for a little bit of crowd control if things go their way. But as it stands right now, that Rake completely untouched and has been left alone to essentially build up that Hyper Force Reactor. Attacking faster and faster. It does have the Phase Breaker as well. Stops the Lynx from potentially getting the chop on them. The Lynx is probably going to get to that Rake, but the backline here for Ethan has fallen, and with that, so do the rest of the Illuvials. Big win here from Zexy. They're going to keep their win streak alive and take control of the lobby. And that's the beautiful thing about the casual mode here in Carablu Cup. When you take the bump, you try again. It's just a matter of regrouping strategically. It's not due to just alluvial differences, levels, stats, or anything along those lines. It's strategy and execution. You're able to regroup and try again. And right now, Zexy making the most of their second chance here. But now going up against Awaken. The Rogues are coming, but let's see when you've got Rogues yourself how it will hold. The Verdant Vanguard coming on through that Twine, going to drop that Verdant Puddle. Is it going to be in time to actually save this Rake? The Rake gets a double kill, and now that Verdant Puddle is there to try and help at least a little bit. Firminio doesn't really do that much damage based off of auto attacks. It's all on the Omega, so it's going to be able to burst 2 more down. The Lallura is just absolutely messing with the Quinks in the background, but now it's a very close battle indeed. Awaken with the Lynx, big charm coming on through actually as well. A very, very close fight, but this one should be going over to Awaken. So Zexy gonna take the hit, Awaken with a big win, and now Reem down to 18. If it's a rough one versus Zexy, it could be over. But 18 damage at levels around 16 may not necessarily be enough of her kill shot unless it's a really bad loss. We see so much damage coming on through here from Reem's team alongside Zexy's as well. But the big difference right now here for Reem is that it's not 7 fighter. The sustain isn't there compared to what we saw in game number 1. The fighters haven't necessarily gotten there, or if they are there, they're still stage 1s. So they're not necessarily ready for the board. Especially when you got the Furiox. You want to use that thing. We know it's one of the best carries in the game. But it is going to end up going down. The Rogues jumped them, and with that big damage, that's a big loss as well. Reem, are you still alive? It does look like you'll be alive with 2 HP. Let's hop over to Matter 1 versus our longest or our biggest winner in Carablu Cup, Robert Tacho. It's all down to the Ranger, oddly enough, and they will end up falling. So Matter 1 keeping themselves in the game. Peeking over to Robert Tacho as we get into this NPC round. They've opted against going for the shock side of things, and honestly, I do not mind that choice, considering you had the weapon ready to go for it, but you saw that the T-Ruro or the T-Ruro was contested. You saw that the Rylu was contested. While you can get 2 fully evolved versions of the same Tier 1 Illuvial, it is still a tough thing to try and do. So maybe with this way, or it's a little bit of a Scion heavy base one, maybe the shock portion comes from the later game when you can just find Squiz. Just get a little bit of damage in there that way, instead of the all-in style of shock that we're very much used to seeing. Looking forward to seeing what more comes on through. Well, there we go, Blazin'. We've got yourself the Strike Boomerang. Ballistics made the switch over to that Boomerang. Let's take a look at Reem. They're going up against Matter 1. Both of these players a little bit down on their luck so far in this matchup. Reem definitely within kill shot here, only 2 HP. Matter 1, though, still has 24, probably a little bit more here. But Reem has a lot of credits still in the bank. They are down 1 level. Will they be able to survive? It does not look like that they are going to spend. So they're banking on the fact that they can win this and then make a major push in the next round. But that is so scary when there is a Sin-Off blasting water into your carry's face. But big damage. The 7 fighters are here now for Reem, and they could not have come at a better time. But you're still dealing with a rather tanky backline alongside that Ranger as well. It's going to open fire, but Reem is not done. 2 HP in a dream. Going to take the win over Matter 1. 3 Illuvials still left to go, so a nice win there for Reem, and they still have so much in the tank. But now you have to go against current lobby leader. Ethan is back on top here in the Carablu Cup, and at this point here, it's a position where they're not necessarily too unfamiliar with it now. Usually, in the past, if it wasn't Robert Tacho, it was Ethan. We've seen a few more people get some wins in the Carablu Cup since. I know Matter 1, Awaken, have gotten some, and a few more as well. But very much so known name here, known name here in the Carablu Cup. Now Reem going up against Ethan. Ethan 2 levels ahead. Reem still so much credits in the bank. But again, they did hit that 7 fighter threshold. Argue that's probably a much higher power spike compared to Magma and Granite, but at the same time, Magma, for these fighters, when they're all diving on in onto your turf, means it's a lot of free damage coming on through, and the numbers game is going to be just too much. Reem will fall out of here in 8th place, but still a valiant effort there, Reem. Congratulations, of course, in the win in the first game. And there's still plenty of prizes coming your way. I hope you had fun regardless of your results. And now we have the potential multi-kill coming on through. Kira versus Ballistics. Matter 1 versus Zexy. As it stands right now, Kira. They spent the bank, but they found Exodia. They've got the Malura. They've got the Slashin. The 2 big gun vanguards alongside having Harbinger at the exact same time. So that is quite the nice little setup there for Kira, but it is not bulletproof. Ballistics does have a ton of fire. The Inferno, there you go, Blazden. We got Inferno after all, with the double AC-130 about to be flying from above here in just a second. It's all a matter of how safe can that Slashin become. In fact, all of the augments right now seem to be onto the Malura, so it's not actually the Slashin meant to be the big carry, but it looks like it's going to do it anyway, as the Slashin, the Malura, and the rest of these Illuvials charge on through. Kira will get the win, get the shot, and that will be the knockout blow here for Ballistics. Going to fall in 7th, unless Matter 1 took a harder loss. It looks like Matter 1 actually going to get the win there, so Ballistics will fall in 7th. GG's Ballistics, it's always a pleasure having you on board. Love to have you on once again. GG's. Matter 1 dodged death once, but now they have to deal with Awaken, which of course my biases are going to come on through in full fashion. Hello, beautiful. Nimble Hydrolinks is here. Big burst damage. That is the name of the game here for this awesome Hydrolinks. And it's also a pretty tanky rogue at that. Can be a pseudo tank of sorts. That's why with the Earth Chip, make it tankier. But you can still utilize the attack speed. It is a awesome little mixture. Let's see, Matter 1. With all of the water Illuvials they could potentially want here. And there is no Vanguard here for Awaken. This is strictly Revenant Rogue coming on through. First beam from the Sin-Off went directly into that Quinks, which did chop through a little bit more. Good shot from the second shot there from the Sin-Off, but I don't think that is going to be enough. Until, actually, hang on a second, Flood. Can you potentially turn this around? That is going to be a very, very close battle. The Lynx is oddly enough trying to stand this. Of course, Flood does not auto-attack, but it has heals, it has damage, but it is not going to be enough. We will lose Matter 1. Not in 6th, but actually in 5th. Kira did also fall at the same time. So with that, the Slashin, the Malura, all back in the pool. GG's, of course, Matter 1, and Kira, just like everybody else, always a pleasure having you on the battlefield. Love watching you guys in here every single week. Thank you so much for playing. And GG's regardless of finishing position. This was the moment that Awaken was waiting for as well. When you're in a position like this, when you're contested with so many rogues, you try to save your credits when you see that you've lost the race and just hope that your opposition happens to fall. And that is it. Level 9, it is go time. Let's see what Awaken can pull off, if they're even going to pull the trigger. Are they going to wait to potentially try to finish off Zexy first? Zexy as well, of course, running a bunch of rogues here. Does have the Stabbin, does have an Allura. But of course, this is the Verdant Vanguard style, which is also going to have this absolute behemoth of this Gnarl in the backline ready to tank for you. Zexy has even gone as far to throw a bunch of tank augments onto it as well, and support to try and just get as many of these underroots to come out as possible. They'll get the one off immediately, and it's going to hang on. It's going to heal for quite a significant amount of time, but now the Gnarl has fallen. Where do those Revenants go? As it stands right now, it is looking pretty good here for Awaken. They just have the numbers, they have the damage. They don't have Vanguard, but they've got Revenant, and that damage is plenty. Is that enough to take out Zexy? It will be. Zexy out of here in 4th place. GG, Zexy. And of course, thanks to the change in prizing, every lobby guarantees 1 pack for getting 4th. So there you go, Zexy. The second time was the charm. You will be scoring at least one pack plus additional assistance from the community rescue. Congrats on a fantastic second game. Now Ethan's in a bit of trouble here going up against Awake Darkness. Robert Tacho, haven't had necessarily the opportunity to say too much about them, but they're right back where I'm used to seeing them. Near the top of the Carablu Cup lobby, they have 26 HP, trying to see if they can mitigate the damage coming out of this brand new, newly evolved team. Slashing, Malura, everybody is here rogue-wise for Awaken. Good shot from the Sinolf, takes care of a bunch, but the ramp fight on the green side doesn't necessarily get that much value. It might be 10 Illuvials coming on through here for Robert Tacho, but there's still just so much damage. Big win for Awaken, and Ethan is also going to fall. Ethan going to get third place. GG's Ethan. That's always a pleasure watching onto the battlefield, which means we have potentially the final round here in this Carablu Cup main event. Can Robert Tacho, our most winningest player in the Carablu Cup, withstand the absolute onslaught that is this rogue team coming on through from Awaken? Awaken as well, if I recall correctly, looking for win number 2 in a row if they could pull this off. The shock is here for Robert Tacho, but can it find the shots necessary to find some kills? Off the rip, that's not too bad, but the tank line has fallen, and that Slashin still looks as healthy as ever. It does have that restorating impact reactor on top of it. It's healing with every kill, and now that it's found the squishy bits, it's just a matter of time. The drone is down. Robert Tacho shall get second, and that means for the second week in a row, Awaken, Mad Dogs, you've won the Carablu Cup. Congratulations. GG's, everybody. It's been a long time coming, hoping to get ourselves a full lobby here in the Carablu Cup. And the opportunity today to have been able to do 2 lobbies is absolutely incredible. And GG's to everybody for playing. That was a ton of fun to cast. I hope it was fun for everybody, regardless of where you finished. But that was incredible. With the call out to Mad Dogs in the top 3. Absolutely. Good showing there from the squad. And it's to the point where I want to see more team-based action as well here in Illuvium Arena as a whole, to be completely honest with you. Okay, just marking everything down as quick as I can. Akira and Matter, they were very close to each other. Let's see, where were they? Not gonna let me do it, eh? I'll scoop that, or I'll fix that up in a moment. Matter 1 and Kira, they both play so similarly that sometimes I do get them mixed up a little bit. So I want to double check and make sure that I've got it all correct here. Yeah, Matter 1 was 5th, and then Kira was 6th. Okay, perfect. Yeah, they both tend to play some water. They both tend to mix rogues together. There we go. All right. So again, reminder, since this was the tougher of the lobbies here, I had basically had this one seeded based off of a mixture of ranked, as well as how long I've seen you playing and how he's ended up performing from the past. So there is actually a little bit more prizes that was leaned onto this Carablu Cup battle. Winning with this one here, Awaken, going to be walking away with the 5 Illuvial packs. You already have all the Illuvials, though, so the community rescue might not be able to assist you there. But then for Robert Tacho, I know we've got a few more to find. You got 4 packs coming your way and some community rescue help. For Ethan, similar scenario. You've got 3 coming with 5 points of community rescue help. Then last but not least here, Zexy, 2nd time's a charm. And there you go. You're going to get the wild card pack as well as some additional community rescue assistance if there is some Illuvials of lower tiers that we can help you with. So we'll gladly see what we can do to help. Now, Monarch Masters. Are we ready for a little bit of ownership on action? And then I do see the conversation in the Discord. I do want to give the shout out that Hollows and Dark Hollows don't have any statistical benefit in Arena. It is just strictly cosmetic. So if you do see somebody with a Hollow, don't worry. It's not a stat difference. Lynx League has been combined into Monarch Masters for the case of simplicity, but we're just going to have more Monarch Masters lobbies now. So basically, if it's ownership on, it's Monarch Masters. If it's ownership off, it's Carablu Cup. But those lobbies are going to still be seeded based off of close strength, and the harder lobbies will have more prizes. Okay, my thing is spazzing out here on me, apparently. Okay, I'm going to just type this manually. What the heckle? Okay, Monarch Masters B main. This one will be a little bit of a smaller one, unless Carablu Cup players. I would definitely lean on you to hop on in here. I know it's Monarch Masters, so ownership is on, and it's going to be tougher. However, as it stands right now, I only have 3 players for this lobby. Prizes go out to the top 4. So you can absolutely hop on in and still get something a little bit extras, and I definitely encourage you to do so. We'll start things off with Awaken. Would you like to take the bump? You can try. That sounds good to me. Now, Doc, if you hopped in, you would be in Monarch Masters A, so that unfortunately would not help me here. There is open slots there, though. If you do want to hop in, I can still take a late reg. Okay, then we've got Hunter. Hunter, basically the king of the B main as of the last little bit. But there has been somebody here as well that's been always putting a wrench into things for Hunter, stopping them from any sort of domination, and that, of course, is Blazin'. Okay, monitor lobby. Who needs to farm shards? I feel that. I need to as well. Low-key, I'm kind of happy that I get a day off or so of stream tomorrow. My voice is shot, and I need some shards. So if I have some spare time, maybe that's where we'll go. Okay. So Hunter, Blaze, and Coyote, my Monarchs are here. So Awaken. You've made it in as well. Perfect. So then next up, Robert Tacho, Ethit, and Zexy. You want to go again? Based off of positioning, this would be the case. So again, that's for Ethit, Robert Tacho, and Zexy. Miss the feeling of being in Lynx League. They could come back one day, maybe, if it makes sense. But as it stands, I know there was something special. I know Lynx League, of course, it's Lynx's. There's a spot in my heart for it. Okay, so Coyote Hype, Awaken, Blazin, Hunter. And let me reach out again. Our Ethit's on the way. Spoon, you'll have to show me where you're at sometime. All right, there is Ethit. Perfect. Sent the invite out to Zexy and Robert Tacho, but we do have an additional slot available, which means 5th. Matter 1. Want to take a crack at Monarch? And then I'll just keep going down the list to fill this lobby as best as possible. Going dungeon with you sometime. Dungeons tend to be where I have the most fun for MMOs. Let's make that clear. And if you need a healer, that's where I shine. Matter dropped a heart, so I think maybe they're coming on through. We'll see here in a second. Next one on the docket, based off of finishing position, would be Kira. So Kira, stick around. If you'd like to play again, maybe you can. I've got a thumbs up. See. We'll give a couple of moments for those players, then I'll bring the invite to Kira, and then I believe it's Ballistics that would be next. Yeah. Okay, Matter 1 is here. Perfect. Wrong button. Let's get Ethit on this list here as well. Got potentially 2 more slots here. Okay, I'll send it off to Kira in Ballistics. I was wondering if you were going to notice that. There you go. Very, very thankful we were able to get you a full living dex. Congratulations there, Jamie. All right, Ballistics is typing, and I got the thumbs up. Xenexus Gamer still chilling here. Good to see you still. got one more here. There's Kira. Kira's in. We've almost got a full lobby. Now, it looks like Ballistics had started a game already. I mean, I definitely understand. Didn't think there'd no way to be getting the invite. Yeah, this lobby ended up being a little bit on the smaller side. So then last but not least here, Reem. If you would like to take a crack, take a crack at it, I know levels-wise, you'd be at the disadvantage, but if you would like to play, I think you'd be good to go. Let me pause for a second now. See, Ballistics is typing. I'm just waiting. I don't want this to happen, this situation. I hate when this situation happens, where I'm in a game, I left the game to come play, I lost a bunch of rating, I surrendered, and then something happens. Just waiting to see if this message goes through. Bear with me, my apologies for the wait. Just double checking whether or not Ballistics is, or has left it already. Done already? Okay. Okay, Ballistics did leave the game, so we're gonna get Ballistics in here. My apologies there. Reem, I know I might have got your hopes up a little bit there. My apologies. Yeah, Blazin' saying exactly what I'm talking about. I did that once and lost minus 33. Yeah. If you're gonna lose the rating for me... So I've done that to a few people before, and I absolutely hate when it happens. I think it was Squawk I did it to once. That definitely sucked. So yeah, Ballistics, if you're gonna join, then we'll get you in here. It's based off a finishing position, that'd be correct. Hector's happy. That's a 5 Mad Dog lobby, apparently. And there they are. Perfect. Starting. Good luck, have fun. All right, our third game of the day, but it's not our last game of the day. We've still got one more after this. Let's go. Now, this is going to be very intriguing because there are a few of the players that were in our Carablu Cup main event that kind of fall into an interesting scenario because they would rather play Carablu Cup, I imagine, because of the flexibility, not having to worry about Illuvials. But for a handful of these players, they do have at least one team that they have extremely leveled. And if they can get that in an ownership game, they are still a threat. I can say that pretty much to about, yeah, pretty well everybody here. Because like Hunter, Blazin', let's see, Kira and Matter potentially. Oh no, my mistake. It's Hunter, Blazin', Coyote Hype. They're our mainstays for what would have been Lynx League. They've got a pretty decent sized collection. They've got some awesome teams, don't get me wrong. But then for Awaken, for Kira, Matter, Ballistics, Ethits, if they get their team, Heck, Awaken as well. Especially as of late. If they can get their rogues, I mean, that's absolutely incredible, but they can play corner if they need to. Everybody has something in this lobby. It's just a matter of whether they can get it. So I'm really looking forward to this. For a little bit of a scrapped up, or a scrappy last minute kind of put together lobby, it's actually a hell of an exciting one. Now, Hector mentioned 5 Mad Dogs, while I only see 2 tags, so if there is more Mad Dogs onto the list, you gotta let me know. Good luck, have fun, let's get into this one without further ado. Here we go. Game number 3 of the day, our first of 2 Monarch Masters ownership on lobbies. We have 8 players looking to scrap them through, get into some of the bigger prizes. Ownership on means it's much tougher, but it also means much grander prizes. So with this one, we do have coming on through from the Carablu Cup. We've got Ballistics, we've got Kira, we've got Matter 1, we've got Awaken, we've got Ethit. Then our traditional, used to be traditional Lynx League players, but now up here in the Monarch Masters, we've got Hunter from Mad Dogs, we've got Blazin, and we've got Coyote Hype. Here we go. Hector from Mad Dogs giving me the heads up too as to how many Mad Dogs do we actually have in game regardless of what we see on the screen. So it seems like Blazin, Hunter, Awaken, Matter, and Ethid all representing the Mad Dog side of things here. So 5 Mad Dogs in the lobby indeed. Starting to look like 2024, 2025 hype up in here with the amount of team play coming on through. And if I'm seeing that correctly, we've got legendary augments coming on through in this game. An extra little bit of spice of chaos going into our matchup here today. With it being level 5, let's quickly go over the weapons. I'll try to see what everybody's picked up legendary augment-wise in just a moment, as Matter and Awaken, 2 Mad Dogs going at it. Let's see what we've got in regards to weapons. Kira, Tidal Shiv in hand, looking for a more traditional rogue style. Ballistics, Strike Boomerang, where's the Inferno? Well, it's not going to be alone. We've got Blazin picking up the Strike Boomerang. We've got Ethit picking up the Strike Boomerang. They're all over the place. We have the Galewind Bow. That's going to be the first time we're seeing that one. That's your air fighter weapon getting picked up by Hunter. Coyote Hype with the Grove Sword, potential mass fighter like we were seeing with Reem earlier potentially. Then we've got Matter. They are set up for their water build. They've got Aqua Blaster. That is basically the perfect item there, or the perfect weapon for their team, considering they like their heavy 8 water style. And then last but not least here, Awaken, with an interesting pick given I think of their play style, but it's going to be the Ember Bastion. That is your Earth Bulwark weapon. Our region here for today is not a place that we've gotten to actually explore in-game just yet, but it is going to be the Shard Bluff Labyrinth. And with that, that is why we've got the legendary augment crates immediately. As this battle between Awaken and Ballistics goes through, let's take a look at some of these legendary augments and how they're going to affect the game. Starting with Ballistics, they've picked up the Void Cleaver. Your auto attack's going to split to 3 targets, maybe at reduced damage, but still, it's splitting 3 targets. For the side of Blazin, where is that augment? I don't think I see it just yet. Let's hop over with Kira. That's a pretty solid pickup. The Hyper Striker Protocol, piercing and attack speed coming your way alongside some True Sight, so don't have to worry about missing your attacks. Hunter has the Infinity Core. Good chunk of crit, as well as Omega Power. That art taste is going to be terrifying. Coyote Hype, what did they pick up? They've got the Chronic Guard, making basically any Illuvial an absolute monster tank in this game. That is an awesome pickup, yet on an ace as well. Obligatory, as we see a handful of exalted tier 0s coming through, and we've got my guy, the Grande Tipo, leading the charge, being a tank here for the squad from Awaken. Playing with my heart here, Awaken. Be careful. We've got Matter, a good pickup here as well. Hyper Striker Protocol here for them as well. Blazin, I do not see their legendary augment still, so maybe still hanging on to that. Ethit also has the Infinity Core for some good crit and Omega power. On a Lynx, that's a fantastic choice. Then last but not least here, we do see the Devour. Not the Devour, that's an old name actually. That's the Absorption Cells. Basically, think of it as a Restorating Impact Reactor on mixed in with the Echoing Force Reactor. So you get attack damage, Omnivamp, and crit. All in one augment. It is absolutely beautiful. Let's ride here with Ballistics, who's leading this lobby and has a bit of a win streak going for them, and they're still just level 5, so not spending a ton, I don't think, to be on top in that regard. Spends a little bit, but not too bad. Meanwhile, Ethit up here against them, of course, going for that fire-based build. We do have the boomerangs on both sides, but Ballistics made a last-minute move, actually, to keep their win streak alive, to level up to 6, and the Swarm just coming on through. The Queen of Blades would be proud. Ballistics absolutely going to take down Ethit this time. Matter 1 and Kira continuing to do what they always do, and that is all in, every round, go nuts. And with that, they've gotten to level 6 so far. They have a couple of credits each left, but yet at the same time, they're always contesting each other. So I find that so interesting. They both play the exact same way. They play together so often, and yet they're always stepping on each other's toes. We're going to ride along here with Hunter as well as Ethit. Hunter picking up a decent amount of fire units, and again, we were talking about the big damage that Artase can do. As a pyro field goes through the skies, you can see how quickly that damage ramps up there on the right-hand side. Especially that blue bar. That blue bar is exclusively Omega damage. Ethit and the Greater Monkura and the Lynx tried their damnedest, but it was not enough to be able to get through there. They do get swarmed down. Was there a level advantage? I do believe it was a 1-level advantage. So Ethit shall fall. I believe there might have been a bit of a level disadvantage there for Ethit as well. But still holding their own. Kira now takes the lead here in this lobby. It is Mass Water, but Rogue at the same time. And in fact, it's Tsunami Vanguard. At least that is the attempt. There is still the need to find either the Axodon or the Flood. If you caught me later or earlier on today, you'll know that I'm still looking for my Axodon as well. I have to pay respects for that fella. But they got the Vanguard already, which is a massive, massive benefit here for Kira. Let's switch this around. A little bit of side-by-side action. Try to figure out where the heck that Pangu is. Well, the Pangu is basically on top of everything except the Lynx. Absolute brute force coming up from that monk here. Don't even need to get the legendary onto that penguin yet. The monk here is doing a fine job. Kira off to a fantastic start. If we hop over to Ballistics, they're going up against Blazin. A very close battle, actually, between the two of them. And that will be the Artase finishing the job. Blazin going to get the win in that one. Now, first versus second currently in this lobby. Kira versus Ballistics. Ballistics on the green side of things. They have a handful of rogues. They again have the Void Cleavers, so their auto attacks do spread to other Illuvials, but at a bit of a reduced rate in terms of the damage caused. Now, in this instance, we do see Predator is the attempt here for Ballistics. However, they could absolutely be doing one better, because you do have the Tiruro. It's set up to be kind of a carry of sorts, but it's not gotten its Revenant enabled. Match that up here with Archos, and that very well could be Revenants coming on through here up against Kira. But see what Kira has. Again, this is a very heavy water squad with Vanguard as well. The Tsunami might not necessarily be there just yet, but still so much damage across the board here. This is looking absolutely brutal here. Kira, with that Pangu, still very, very healthy, still very safe. Should be able to clean this one up. Peck the Ranger going to be a meat shield as well, standing in front of that Penguin, letting it do the damage it needs to. And with that, Kira will take control on this lobby in terms of HP, but not too far away, because you have to consider they have spent everything they've gotten to get as far as they are right now. Can they potentially keep this going, or will they run out of gas? We'll see what happens. In regards to the credits so far here in this lobby, we do see Ethan leading the charge. Was at about 50 a little bit earlier, spent a little bit, I believe, to look for a little bit of rolling. Does have the Chikoral now added onto the field as well. Kukaraf showing up here for Matter 1. So the potential Enchanter play coming on through as well. It's still set up as Tsunami Harbinger. But heck, maybe there's a world where the big bird, not the Phosphorus, but the other one, can absolutely stunlock some opponents if this is a Tsunami-based team. Ethan up to level 7, going to get the Revo online. We're here, Ballistics one more time, going up against Awaken. We saw Awaken last time there with the Grand Tipo. It's here ready to launch, but at the same time, it's got some backup. We've got the Rake here set up to be not just a carry with the absorption cells, but to have sustain as well. So having the Phase Breaker to break target ability, having the Omni Vamp on every single kill could get disgusting, especially with the Restorating Impact Reactor. But the problem with this build, the Rake needs a kill quickly. No better way to get a kick started, though, by killing a Root Cub. Immediately getting that right off the board. And this is where we start to see the runaway Thylacines, whether it be the runaway Umber or runaway Rake. Is it going to be the case? It will get shut down, actually. Awaken is going to go down. Ballistics with the 2-level advantage, going to put the hurt here onto Awaken. At this time, it looks like Hunter has taken the lead of the lobby. What is Hunter cooking? It's not quite Inferno, but we still got a lot of firepower here nonetheless. The Infinity Core has been actually given over to this Furiox, making this thing have a bunch of additional Omega power. And with that additional Omega power, of course, that goes into additional damage on their empowered auto attacks and the explosions that come with it. So that is going to be a very, very deadly snaky. Meanwhile, here for Ethich, they may be at the disadvantage in regards to levels, but strategically, I like what they're going for. A little bit of magma on top of this fire to stop these Illuvials that tend to dive on through, just like that Arctase that's now sitting in the flames, but it doesn't seem to be very effective as it stands right now. The TNT is trying to shut it down, but the rest of the Illuvials around it seem to be doing absolute work. Arctase is going to be able to get out of dodge as well, get out of range of the auto attacks, and the rest of these Illuvials here for Hunter will put the hurt here onto Ethit, and that will knock them now to within kill shot. We do finally see the augment choice coming out from Blazin. They held it for a very long time. That is going to be the Berserker's Flurry coming on through. So not only giving the Illuvial additional attack boost, a significant attack boost, but also, or attack speed boost, but additional range. And I like this switch, bringing it over to the Riptorus. What would normally be a melee unit now has a little bit of a safety net, a little bit of a gap now to actually keep itself safe up against some of these other melee units. Could potentially sit behind a tank and go nuts as well. The Arctase here for Blazin in a decent spot. It does end up falling, but it goes down right as the tanks fall, which should allow for this Riptorus to get right into the back line, right into the squishy stuff, and it's going to absolutely feast there with the Red Panda. Heck, we're going to have some Shubo here as well, hanging on by a thread. Blazin going to take the win here over Hunter. But now this leads us in a first versus second matchup, but we also have the opportunity here where we could see two players end up going down. Awaken and Ethit, both rather low within kill shot. I'm going to stick around here with Awaken for this one as they're going up against Matter 1, because I'd argue that Matter 1 is the one eager to try to get the kill shot onto Awaken, considering all of the dashes that would add back into the shop if they can get the kill shot, which as an 8-water team is going to be crucial to having a carry. You cannot rely on Sinolf or Dualef to do everything. But with that look at this, Awaken's team just went absolutely nuts. They're not going to go down that easily. Awaken shall survive. But how about Ethit? They're going up against Ballistics. Ethit's still alive as well. Nobody willing to go down just yet. And then Coyote Hype took out Hunter to now take the lead here in this lobby. A lot of spending, though, across this entire lobby, though, to get to where they are. Nobody is above 30 as of this moment. Many people lucky to be in the double digits whatsoever. But Kira, once again, they have the magic for finding vanguards. What is this? That is going to be Tsunami 3 Vanguard coming on through. They found the Malura. Now, you can find a second Malura in the game. However, it requires RNG to be absolutely perfect here for you in terms of actually finding for it. Rolling for that second Malura, or potentially a second slash-in, is usually a death sentence to your game. So it's usually not advised to go for it. So we have Kira potentially going to get the kill shot once again here onto Awaken. Awaken, though, we do see a pretty significant upgrade. They have, in fact, went for the Dust Revenant style. If the Vanguards are off the table, go the other way. And a Vermilier, loaded up with a Mega Power, could potentially turn and swing that. But where does that Omega go? Where's that big old Squall go? Needs to find a juicy target to lay that dust cloud into. And I mean, a Jokul would be a fantastic target if I do say so myself. The first one's going to actually end up being a whiff, but the blinding effect here from the dust is doing a pretty good job. But we have lost the Rake. One of Awaken's carries is gone, but the rest of the squad come in clutch. But a massive shot there from the Malura. Malura nearly turned that there for Kira. What an attempt, but it won't be enough. And we will lose Ethit. I thank you for playing Ethit. I know you're definitely at the disadvantage there in that lobby, but I thank you greatly for playing, and there will be some additional community rescue points added to your prizing for helping me fill this lobby. Thank you, thank you. I know there's not much left that we have to upgrade your team, but we'll see what we can do. Now let's ride with Ballistics. They're going up against Kira, actually, but they're going up against the Ghost. So I'm going to make the switch here in a second. But we have actually 2 players going for Mass Water with Rakes on many, many teams here. Awaken and Ballistics both essentially running each other down. And somehow, even though Matter just has the dash, they are still able to find the better setup so far in this one. But this is a little bit of a nerve-wracking situation. We see the drone moving, Mozart dancing here for Awaken. I can get the nerves because each of these fights, they've been hanging on by a thread, and it looks like it's going to be no different. They're going up against Hunter. The Furiox did well, but it's not going to be enough. The Rogues, they've gone through. Hunter, in a very uncharacteristically interesting situation, has not been able to have full control of this lobby. Awaken able to knock them down. Ballistics has survived as well. Kira now knocked down to within kill shot, and they're going up against Hunter. This is where I need a PIP. I need some sort of picture-in-picture of sorts. If I had my old setup from my old work, heck, we'd have like 5 different POVs at this point. But for the lone way, we'll do the best that we can. Matter 1 versus Ballistics. 8 water versus 8 water and a Dodo coming on through. Let's see. Big Gnarl leading the charge here as well here for Ballistics. A nice big tank to stop some of those Aqua Blaster shots coming out here from Matter. Keeping their Ranger, keeping the Alfie very safe. But of course, Alfie just kind of tickles. It doesn't necessarily do that much damage. And with the drone down, I think we know where this is going, unfortunately. And it will not be for the benefit of Ballistics. They will fall. They'll fall into the water here at Shard Bluff Labyrinth, and we'll lose Kira as well. GG's, everybody. I hope you had a fun time here with us today, no matter what the result. But with Kira and Ballistics down, the battle for the top 4. Awaken has been on a hell of a run here with 10 HP. Sure, they've got the win streak, but it just takes one wrong move, and that is the end of the game. Matter 1 did just find the stab in, so that is going to be yet another rogue taken off the board. Let's see how it goes. That Kuka-Wrath immediately getting jumped on. It's going to get popped before the stun could truly find value. It just went onto the Ranger, and that Ranger was already shielded. This is a best-case scenario, I think, here for Awaken. The Riptorus is trying its damnedest over on the right-hand side, but it's been drawn in, and it shall be massacred. Matter 1 down to 9 HP. Awaken hangs on for a little bit longer with an absolute hell of a run. I'm gonna need a tea today. Y'all are killing me in a good way. Keep it up. But with so much close battling, it does put the pressure onto some very heavy spending. Awaken literally in the chat here. I'm running on a thread 100%. Some very close battles to keep themselves from being literally last, to go all the way up into the top 5. It's already an admirable position. But of course they want more. Coyote Hype, a couple big upgrades, big spend here after that NPC round. Getting up to level 10, they are the first one to hit that. And if this is a race for potentially ramp fire, that is going to be an interesting battle there between Coyote Hype and Blazin. But no matter what, this is going to be a team kill. Hector, don't look. This is Mad Dog on Mad Dog. And one of them is probably going home after this one. Well, they're already home probably. But you know what I mean. They'll be knocked out of this if things don't go their way. That big old beautiful Lynx here for Awaken. I do see that thing, and it is chomping through everything alongside the thylacine. It's doing rather nicely. There goes the ramp fee. No, it does get its cast off, which will do some decent damage to the Lynx. But the Vermilier has held all of the attention. Hunter will go down. Matter 1 will go down. So Hunter 4th, Matter 1 5th. GG's, everybody. The podium has been set. It's just a matter of where do they finish. Awaken going up against the Ghost of Blazin. Blazin leading this lobby, now going up against Coyote Hype. Coyote Hype spent the bank. 1 credit left to their name. Blazin in a pretty decent spot, all things considered, though. The Singe potentially going up into the Seer is right around the corner. They are 1 flare away from doing so. It won't be easy, though. Coyote Hype does have one for themselves. Let the Inferno rain down while there's also 6 fire, but Toxic on the other side. This is going to be explosive either way. Right now, this is looking pretty good here for the red side. Coyote Hype, they got their damage in nice and quickly. They get the shot in onto Blazin, but Blazin's Ghost will take out Awaken. So Awaken, you were doubting yourself for hopping into Monarch Masters. Well, bruh, you just got 3rd. Congratulations on the incredible run. They'll come from behind. There's some more packs coming your way for that one. GG's. Our final 2. A bad loss either way could be the end of the game. Everybody has spent the bank, so it's going to be a matter of if you sell something to try and finish an upgrade. Nobody is going to pull the trigger. Let's see how this goes. Ramp fight over on the green side. Dives on up. It's only going to hit the Arctase. Meanwhile, on the other side, that is the tankiest ramp fight I have seen. It sat there for so long. This is going to be close, though. The big battle back. Coyote Hype looks like they're the one in trouble now. Blazin, that's a perfect a perfect scenario here for Blazin to get, I believe, their 2nd win here in Illuvium Arena House League. Congratulations. I did not expect it to end there, but that is the perfect scenario here for Blazin. Wifey's checking on me because I'm scaring people in the other round from being so damn loud. Or was that just the cat? Thank you. But what a game, what a game. That was awesome. Big thank you for everybody for hopping into that lobby as well, helping me fill that one up. That ended up becoming an exactly, super close match. I did not expect that to end there, but holy smokes, a perfect case scenario. There was not much more that Jews could have actually even upgraded on. But there we have it. Blazing with what I believe is their second win. With Coyote Hype. Very incredible second. Awaken with an incredible third as well, considering that you were basically dead the entire game. And played pretty close to perfectly up until the very, very end. Hunter with a solid finish as well. Got a pack coming their way as well. Potential wild card. Matter, Kira, Ethan, Ballistics, you've all performed very, very well as well. Especially we knew for, say, for Ethan as well. We knew that they were definitely at a level disadvantage, but still held their own very, very nicely. See, Kira, Matter, Ethan, and Ballistics. That's what I did put here. There we go. That was Matter, Kira, Ballistics, Ethan. Matter, Kira, Ballistics, Ethan. Alright. So a reminder for those getting some prizes here. So that will be Blazing, getting 7 alluvial packs alongside some community rescue assistance if there is something that we can help you with. We do have Coyote Hype, 6 packs coming your way. We're going to see for bronze here, Awaken. That is an additional 5 that does stack with your win in the Carablu Cup main event. So you are probably going to be tied for the biggest winner here today with 10 packs coming your way total. And then Hunter, again, solid run, end up getting the 1 pack. But of course, everybody else as well, you're not going to be walking away with nothing as long as you don't have a full collection or the only thing that you're missing isn't like a tier 5, stage 2 or 3. The community rescue will still gladly assist and see what we can do to help fill your roster. And with that, you'll be getting 5 points worth of Illuvials. All right, Monarch Masters, final matchup of the day. Kirito, I need you to get off the mines because I need you on the battlefields right here, right now. Monarch Masters main event coming up. In this matchup, like I just mentioned a moment ago, Kirito, Thanatos, Hector, Wolverine, Texan, and now for the bump up. First and foremost, Blazin', do you want in the main event? They're in. All right. Code sent. Next up, Coyote Hype. Do you want in the main event? Code has been sent. You've been pinged on Discord. This is the last one, so about another half hour. Probably a little bit closer, yes. Coyote says, sure, there we go. So Blazin's in. Coyote is in. I'd love to be a bug on the windshield. I know that feeling. Last but not least, I know you took 1 bump up already. Awaken, you want to do it again? A ping has been sent out. Let's see how our lobby's doing. All right, just a matter of the final slot. So going based off of results, we'll give the offer to Awaken first. You need 2 minutes? That's fine. We can do 2 minutes. That'd be game number 3 here for Awaken. But that's the beauty of the bump up, right? Of course, in days where there's a little bit of a higher overall attendance, trying to make a run like this is much, much more improbable. But when situations occur, can you capitalize? And so far, it's been that kind of day, it looks like. Yeah, we can absolutely do 2 minutes here. Big thank you to everybody also for whether it be just tuning in and hanging out or participating in House League or doing a little bit of both. It's an absolute pleasure doing this week in, week out, and I've been having an absolute blast. And I'm thankful that it sounds like the overwhelming majority of you have been having a fun time as well. And that means the world to me. I'm very, very thankful for that. In regards to streams, this will be the final stream here for this week, but going into next week, I can see a horizon full of Obelisk Rising, if you know what I'm saying. We have a bunch of different things that we can do. I am very much so looking forward to either power leveling my the bond system. We got a very, very awesome special friend during our adventures on this morning's stream that I need to level up big time. I'd really, really love to be able to turn that into my carry of sorts. It doesn't necessarily match my play style, but still pretty cool. I'm very happy with it. Then, of course, going to continue the quest line, see what we can do in terms of maybe capturing some more rarer Illuvials, and then the additional quest line. Maybe, if we're lucky, we can start getting into dungeons, as well as maybe some Leviathan fights. So that's going to be probably Monday and Tuesday streams, but Wednesday we'll have This Week in Illuvium for the prize opening for today's action. Thursday might be an arena day, and then Friday, of course, we'll be right back with some more Illuvium Arena House League. Oh, sorry, but you turned off the PC. I see. All right, there we go. The lobby is all loaded up and good to go. No, that was absolutely incredible. 3% chance. You gotta see it to believe it. I still can't believe it. Alright, with the gang all here. One more time today. Good luck, have fun, everybody. This will be an absolute blast. Well, I'm definitely going to sleep well today, though. It's been a good one. Everybody's all in. Looks like that is correct. All right, sweet. Got one of my favorite regions here to finish things off to as well in terms of the effect. Oh, we got in right at the start. All right. Let's go. Without further ado, let's do this. The final matchup of the day, your Monarch Masters main event. Some of the craziest collections and players in the Illuvium universe here today with a full lobby for an absolute fantastic set of battles. We have here today in this matchup, Wolverine 777 Hype. We have Awaken from Mad Dogs, who's probably gone on the longest bump-up streak we've had so far in the Illuvium Arena House League. We have Texan. We have Hector from Mad Dogs, who's consistently right on the borderline of scoring their first win. Is today the day? They might have themselves a little bit of a rogue nemesis to have to deal with that, of course, being Thanatos, also a multi-time Monarch Masters winner that also loves Rogue. But speaking of multi-time winners here in Monarch Masters, we have Kirito here as well. Could the Water Squad be coming on through? Water Enchanter. That's what they've been playing the last couple weeks. Does that continue? Then Blazin looking to bring the fire after a fantastic win in the B main here in the Monarch Masters. Going to continue that. Coyote Hype, though, was right there, was absolutely within kill shot, and is here in this matchup as well. In terms of region, you heard me talking about it a little bit earlier, but I'm looking forward to this one because it's Crystal Shores, specifically getting a free shop reroll with no other caveat, just every single round. So, stack them up, spend them quickly, however you like to do it. The shop is going to be a little bit more flexible here this game, which is cool to see. We're hitting level 4, which means it's time for some weapons to come on through. Wolverine gonna mix their hand in with the rogues this time, picking up the Quake Maulers. Blazin with the Galewind bow in hand. Texan with the Elderwood staff, that's your nature empath weapon. Kirito, that's not a water weapon, that's actually gonna be the Emberling rod, the nature scion weapon. Thanatos picking up the Tempest lance. I do not believe for a second that this is not rogue. Thanatos will find a way to turn this into rogue, I swear to God. It could very well be like a Frost Vanguard. Galewind's bow coming on through here for Coyote Hype as well. We see Hector with the Amber Bastion. I'm pretty convinced that's probably going to be rogue as well here, considering Hector, but you never know. They might have something different up their sleeve. Then last but not least here for Awaken. I have no idea where they're going with the Ember Buckler in hand. Awaken can play rogue, but do you contest the boss man on his rogues? That is a great question, in my opinion. Couple of big upgrades here for Wolverine off the start. TNT ready to rock, level 60, essentially perfect. It's got a ton of tanky stats and Omega power, good to see. But then what's up with Texan? We do see a beautiful, perfect, heady, level 60. It's only missing movement speed, but heady's slow as heck as can be anyway, so it's not going to make that big of a difference. Let's take a look at this battle and see how it goes. Granite going to be immediately online here for Wolverine. Going to let that Ranger sneak into a nice safe spot without taking any damage, but nothing was really targeting it anyway. Good shot there from the Gorilla to get the jump here onto the Flish, but it's not got the damage to really burst it down. So this tank line coming out here from Texan with the Heady, a level 60 Greater Water Grotko. My goodness, Texan. That is absolutely incredible. And nearly maxed out onto this Greater Air Doka as well. 56 and perfect stats. What the heck is that team? Now Hector up against Thanatos. Thanatos has the Leviathan tried and true. Double Lynxes going to lead the charge. Tank-wise, they're not perfect, but they're still very, very beautiful. And level 60 and 61 on the both of them. Very, very devastating high DPS. Illuvial is going to have that Doka there alongside him. Has the extra flashy style points there with the Hollow. But some decent attack stats as well. So there can be a pretty good chunk of single target damage coming on through. Big shout out to the Lynx on the side of Hector. That perfect level 61 Lynx defied the odds up against another Lynx that had the offensive augments, but it is not going to be enough. Thanatos going to get the better of Hector to start things off. Let's go to the NPC round and see where we're at credit-wise. Hector currently leading the charge in terms of the most amount of credits saved. 50 of them currently saved. Texan short to follow, though, all the way up at the top of the board here at 49. Now going to cross that 50 mark, but a handful of players around that 40, 45 credit mark. So no major heavy spending like what we would see with, say, like a Matter 1 or a Kira kind of play style. Everybody so far in this one going to take it a little bit slower, but in certain circumstances, not just coasting per se. Not saving gas, but they're not full throttle either, if that makes sense. Let's take a look at Coyote Hype. What are they doing? They're going up against Awaken. Let's see how this goes here. So Awaken, double Lynxes, Relentless Lynxes, both on board. And good offensive stats onto the one, good tankiness onto the other, actually. So an interesting little mix-up here with these Relentless Lynxes, but let's see what Coyote's got in store. Can they potentially burst down these Lynxes? They don't necessarily have the burst damage, but they do at least have consistent damage. But are these Lynxes going to be able to outpace them? It does not look like it's going to be the case. The level difference might have just made the difference in that fight here. Flish is going to try its damnedest here for Awaken, but the Ranger's actually directly on top of it. Where do the shots go? The Ranger and the Relentless Lynx from Coyote Hype going to take the win just ever so slightly. Get the shot over Awaken this time. Texan and Blazin going at it. Texan going to take that one. Now, for the most part in our Monarch Masters, if Texan joins a lobby, they can be considered a favorite to win it. They've done it a handful of times so far. I believe they've gotten at least 3 wins under their belt as of this moment, and they've only really started competing relatively recently, if I recall correctly. And they, of course, were the winner from last week, so looking to get a little bit of a streak going here. Now, for our matchup this time by, though, we're going to see Kirito up against Blazin. Emberling Rod shot onto that Graco. Unfortunately, one of the problems with the Emberling Rod, and trust me, I absolutely love this thing. Kirito's going to take the win nonetheless. But one thing here with the Emberling Rod, that even still, because the devs have been trying their damnedest to get this thing to work consistently, but one big problem I see with the Emberling Rod still is doing too much damage and killing your target. Now, that sounds really, really stupid, but the thing is when you do the Emberling Rod shot, the target that the seed is attached to has to stay alive for not just the first bloom, but it has to stay alive even after that to then activate the second one. So what I see happen to myself and to a lot of players over the last little bit is they'll get the kill with the very first bloom, and the second one just doesn't fire, even though it's still in range of other Illuvials. So it's an absolute pain in that regard. As much as I love that thing, it can still struggle. Let's roll with Blazin one more time. They're going up against Awaken, where we're seeing a massive turtle coming on through here. Omega power in hand and plenty of tankiness. It knows its role and it does it well, but it is going to be swarmed upon. Good Rejuvenasis, going to do some decent damage to everything around. But of course, that turtle is not a DPS unit. That is a support and a pseudo tank of sorts. And that will end up being Blazin taking the win over Awaken this time. In terms of win streaks, we do see Texan and Wolverine both on a bit of a win streak. Wolverine a little bit less though, because of course Texan has not lost a round at all yet. Now, what could Hector be cooking, I wonder? We do see potentially Revenants coming on through. Yes, Revenants in fact will be coming on through now that Verminio is here alongside Tiruro. But then here for Texan, they do have Verdant and potentially getting ready for Aegis. We do see the one turtle here, but again, remember, Awaken does have an Archelion. So there are a lot of those turtles that are going to be out of the pool, even though it is, again, a tier 1. And you can easily find more of them in the pool. It's still not as easy as it should be in a normal kind of scenario. A good little squall coming out there from that Verminio did do a ton of damage, but with all of those Illuvials for Texan sitting inside the verdant puddle, I think there's just not going to be enough damage, even with that rake, to try and take down 4. They will open fire. It's going to be able to dodge for at least a little bit, but that face breaker has been expired, and with that, Texan will continue the win streak here in this battle. And now we have a handful of people hitting the max level in terms of credits and getting maximum interest. Of course, for those that don't know, for the biggest benefit in terms of getting more credits every single round, you save up 70 credits, and you get an additional 7 credits every single round. Of course, that does happen with multiples of 10, so like, if you have 10 credits, you get 1 extra, 2, or 2 credits when you have 20, so on and so forth. So that's why it's still very valuable to do what you're seeing a lot of these players doing here, hovering around the 70s and kind of holding the 70s, and being able to just get further ahead once they've already gotten ahead, if that makes sense. We do have composite chips. Here we go. Let's get some more chaos into the swing of things. Is Texan going to try and manipulate the board? I saw them moving their bench around a little bit. Do they potentially want to pull the trigger on that? Nope, they're going to spend it. Let's see where they go from here. If that is another Verdant chip, that would be a very brutal tank line to try and go through if it ends up being the Crunk and the Twine that you have to try and blast through. Not going to show it until the very end, it looks like. Or just not even use it quite just yet. Little Fury coming on through. It's an Aegis chip actually coming on through here for Texan. So get the turtle, and then that will be 3 Aegis online, and you're already halfway there, essentially, to a Blotto. With the Crunk being evolved. I mean, there's none on the bench, so there's still a bit of a ways to go, but still within reach. Now, Kirito, all bunkered up in the corner, they too have their own turtle. They've got the Archos there, but their Furiox is going around the tanks and hitting some of the squishier targets up until that final moment where the little Fury alongside the Fur Knight from Texan find the right target. The Emberling Rod misfires, because what else does it do? It will go wide, completely missing the 3 Illuvials that are sitting nice and grouped up together, just asking for it. I've been scarred, okay. And that will, unfortunately, here for Kirito, mean they're going down, but now somebody's win streak has end. $100 HP to 90. 3 Granite. Vanguard for Wolverine. We used to see Granite Vanguard pretty consistently, maybe 2-3 patches ago. It's been kind of replaced again with the Tidal Shiv variant of Vanguard for like Tsunami, but we can potentially see the Verdant Vanguard. But for Wolverine, going back to an old tried and true. And was that with the help of a Granite chip? Yes, it was. We see the Granite chip onto the Scarabok, so that big tank is going to be even tankier for the start of this battle. The one thing that's a little bit irritating here, of course, is going to be that blind, but we do see, I think it's a suit upgrade coming on through. Sure enough, good play coming out here for the side of Wolverine with that Hunter's Precision online. You give an Illuvial that you're close to true sight while giving it a little bit of range as well. So that Blotto might have been blinding you. It did not matter for that stabbing. However, this team is just too damn tanky. So Wolverine's win streak will fall. Texan is on an absolute tear to start off this game. Potentially our first elimination here if things don't go Awaken's way. Of course, they were absolutely the underdog here in this scenario. They took the bump from the Carablu Cup main event, got third in the Monarch Masters B main, and now they took the bump again here into the A main. But unfortunately, the level differences and the level differences in the stats might have just finally caused them to run out of steam. I love the team they got here. This is 3 wildfires, so there is a lot of chip damage, but Kirito just has so much pent-up damage on this team, alongside all of this nature healing as well. The battlefield will be let ablaze, but I do not think it will be enough here for Awaken. The Verdant Puddle has been knocked through, but there's the Emberling Rod shot, finally taking care of the Twine. It's all onto that Fur Knight to try and bring the damage. Heck, the Exalted Fireflish is trying to make a name for itself here as well. Sitting in the Verdant Puddle, it found a good shot onto the Furiox, but it did get interrupted, and because of that interruption, the Furiox will live, and that will eventually turn and burn here onto Awaken. GG's Awaken. I thank you for playing yet another game here for us today. And if there's some way that the Community Rescue can help you, please do let me know, because I'd love to be able to give you a couple of extra Illuvials for hopping into the lobby here today. but I know you also have like a full collection. So we'll see how it goes from there. But thank you. This was a hell of a good day today. Very nicely done. Now, Coyote Hype versus Thanatos. Coyote Hype and Blazin came through as well from the Monarch Masters B main. Maybe a tiny little bit of a level difference between the two, but we are going to see the level difference in terms of Ranger, or in terms of the drone rather, for Coyote Hype. Not going to matter, unfortunately, here this time by. Coyote Hype going to take the hit. Good win for Thanatos. Now for Blazin, they're going up against Texan, and it does not look like that they will be able to crack this. Texan just has this bunker completely on lockdown. Not even the Mammoth can make a dent, and that thing hits everything. Potentially around the corner for another elimination, we are going to see the beautiful Relentless Hydrolinks coming on through here for Coyote Hype for a little bit of an extra hired gun. Turn that thing into a berserker. That is absolutely incredible to see here as well. Hector not far away from finding rip plants. But what is the situation with the rest of the Scorpions? They have the two of them there. Blazin does have the one, but do they have any on the bench? They have just a Riptor. So, I mean, trying to hit Rip Lance might be the way to go here for Coyote Hype. This would turn it into 4 Berserker, which is difficult, but it's one of the most devastating teams in the game, if you can get it. But another very devastating team, of course, is Vanguards. As we see, the fully evolved Slashin has arrived here for Wolverine with the Malura. That is incredible stuff coming out here for the Rogue side of things here for Wolverine. So Coyote Hype, they're back up against the wall. Do they have anything left in the tank to roll? They do have 30 credits still. They're looking. They find the Jokul. So the Polar Bear evolution, very, very nice there. But in terms of finding the Riptor, we will be 1 Scorpion away, unfortunately. If you hear a beep, that was just me. Dinner must be ready because the smoke alarm's going off. But we still have lots of incredible action here in this battle that needs to be taken care of first. Slashin just going absolutely insane here. I don't think there's a way that Coyote Hype can get on through. The Lynx tried its damnedest, but 17,000 damage is absolutely incredible coming on through here from Wolverine. GG's Coyote Hype. Thank you for playing another round. And I hope you had fun no matter where you finished. And of course, we got a bunch of prizes coming for you from the B main efforts. Nicely done there. All right, Hector and Blazin going up against each other now. Blazin down to 9 HP. They do have 40 credits still, and of course, a ton of those Scorpions did just get added back into the pool. They are 2 Scorpions away from finding that Rip Lance, but in fact, they also snagged the Geyser, getting the big fella to try and tank some of these rogues coming on through here from Hector. Hector doesn't have 7 rogues, but what they do have is Revenant and Vanguard at the same time, while also having a Granite chip onto an Umber. All of that sounds absolutely devastating. They can Blazin with this Behemoth chip maybe find a way to answer. It's going to be a matter of how can they actually hang on and get away from this Umber. Not even Geyser, not even the big fella can take that Umber for very long. Then with Wraith Strike after Wraith Strike coming on through here from that Umber, it is making it very difficult to hold. But the Umber did get knocked down to the point where that Phase Breaker did get hit. We do see Hyper coming on through. This air team coming on through that just is not able to actually take any damage. They're dodging everything. Incredible stuff. I did not expect this to happen. Blazin, from what it looked like should have been a sure loss, ended up getting that team to work to perfection, just completely disabling everything and getting the victory, staying in the game just a little bit longer. It still has 9 HP, and if somebody has True Sight, that's where this team can get absolutely melted. And unfortunately here for Blazin, that is exactly what we see. Furiox with the Disruptive Force Reactor gain True Sight. And not only is it True Sight, but these Fire Illuvials that are coming their way, super effective against air. However, that Rip Lance that was just evolved into is going to be super effective against the rest of that fire. As long as it can stay alive. It's stuck onto the Seer. Shot after shot, it's doing good damage, but it's not going to be enough, it looks like. Over 11,000 damage here onto that Rip Lance, but not going to be able to find the kills needed. A valiant effort here, Blazin. Going to be falling in 6. Hector is still going to be hanging on. They do actually get the win onto Texan, and Texan actually, over the last couple of rounds, seems to look a little bit mortal. Hang on, Hector's actually still battling out here at Texan. Texan, this is a pretty incredible win, actually. Does Hector get knocked out here? Just barely, actually, so we're going to end up losing 2. Hector gonna end up falling in 5th. The 4 granite definitely prolongs that fight as best as possible. The damage could not be found onto the critical targets, and that just made the rest of this just snowball so tough here for, or a tough win here for Texan, and tough luck, unfortunately, here for Hector. GG's no matter what. Crazy RNG as always, but I'm not saying that sarcastically. I get it. Now Kirito going up against Texan again. Texan with the heavy nature verdant coming on through 5 bulwark. Extremely tanky team. Meanwhile, look at Kirito. 6 nature, 6 fire. It's truly wildfire with some inferno and bloom. This team has a little bit of everything offensively, and so far it's been able to at least crack a couple of these big tanks. Furiox in the background was able to dodge a mammoth stun, so it's been able to completely free fire this entire time. The Goliath finally gets a stun onto it, but now it's basically backline versus backline. Look at the mammoth, though. It got into a good position for a bit. Emberling Rod, god dang it, man. Hit your target. Is it going to be the catalyst to stop this? It's going to be a close one, but Texan will finally end up taking a hit here on stream anyway. We've seen they've gone down for at least a little bit. But now we have our top 4, so everybody here is at least getting something. Because, of course, 4th place gets the wildcard 1 pack. But there is still plenty more on the line here. Texan has spent the bank. Happy to see that this NPC round is here. Put some credits back in the bank. But Wolverine, they've hit Exodia. They've got Slashin', they've got Malura, and they've got a full coffer of credits. They can just worry about essentially leveling up and just getting more Illuvials onto the board. Texan with their last bit of credits, able to score the Blazonite. Perfect one at that. Let's go down towards here. We've got Thanatos versus Kirito. We've not necessarily been able to follow along with Thanatos too much here in this battle, but let's take a look and see what they're cooking. This is a 6 fire, 3 inferno build with Behemoth, probably labeled one of the top builds right now if you look at the Illuvium Vault or the Ratty Data. Very high win percentage if you can actually hit this team comp. But the Seer does go down relatively quickly. But the Furiox has been jumped on. But again, just look at the rest of the red Illuvials. They have melted, but they still have to deal with this Jotan. It's coming, but it's not going to make it. Kirito with a big win, knocking Thanatos down to 9 HP. Let's take a look at our top 2. Texan did get knocked down to 13. And we have a killing blow right here, right now. Awaken, and I imagine a few others would love to see Texans' win streak get knocked out. Well, they are 1 loss away from that being exactly the case. Level 10 for Kirito as well, going up against Wolverine. Thanatos is the one that has a couple of extra pieces in the bank, but their biggest thing that they could possibly go for upgrade-wise would probably be Blazonite, but you look on the other side, Texan has the Blazonite that they would want. And the snakes as well. So you have to do the best with what you have, but you have Infernal Behemoth, which is pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. Let's get the angle here onto this battle. Texan on the right in the red. Lots of fire coming on through, but look at just the consistent amount of chip damage going into the back line. Archos is trying to stand this to heal it, and thankfully the Ranger is there for that big heal. But the Seer is onto the back line, spinning directly on top the squishies. This will absolutely shred on through. A big win here from Thanatos to get the win onto Texan, knocking them out. Kirito also had a rough enough loss to get knocked out as well. Will fall in third. GG's to the both of you. So, confirmed. Win streak over here for Texan. But now it's Thanatos versus Wolverine. And Wolverine has over 30 credits still in the bank. But at the same time, Thanatos, they are literally one snake away from Scoriox. They just need to find a way to survive one round. And with the Behemoths up against the Vanguards, it is a very close scenario. It depends where those Behemoths go. The charm from the Malura locks down both the Behemoths, and MVP Malura, you just locked them down for absolute domination. The Rogues coming on through big time, and Wolverine 777 hype wins here in the Monarch Masters main event here for the Illuvium Arena House League. Congratulations. GG's. An absolute incredible team to wrap up our day of action. Incredible match from everybody. Marking that down right here, right now. Wolverine 777 with the victory. Thanatos once again taking a podium spot with a second place finish. Do not let me put you in the B main ever again. Kirito going to score the third place finish here. Another valiant effort. Texan, an awesome finish as well here at fourth. Hector, even though things don't go your way, still staying at fifth. Not too bad, my friend, not too bad. And we got Blazin taking sixth. Coyote Hype seventh, and then Awaken going to be in eighth into this one. But what a day overall here for Awaken in particular, my goodness. Oof. Double weapon change and still made it work. That's kind of crazy. Normally you see a weapon change and things can get a little bit nasty. But that was not the case. Of course, to kind of recap the pricing coming on through here for all of our players in that last matchup. Hop on over to the display. We do have the winner. So Wolverine, 10 packs of Illuvials are going to be coming your way. If you need something community rescue-wise, we'll take a look and maybe we can help after that as well. Thanatos, you've got 9 packs coming your way. 8 packs coming on over to Kirito Hype. And then the wild card 1 pack going on over to Texan. And we'll see how it goes from there. Of course, everybody else 5th and onward. If there's something that the community rescue could help you with, by all means, please do let me know. And we'll see what we can do, just in case. But I imagine most of these are probably pretty good. All right. This was a fun day. This was an exciting day. I really enjoyed this. Definitely not something that I can do every week or every day, but this was enjoyable. Again, also, I don't think I've given the shout out so far in the stream, so I do want to give it right here, right now. Thank you, Illuvium themselves, for sponsoring the skulls necessary for these alluvial packs, so I do not have to pay out of pocket for this. That is a big W. Thank you for supporting the community events. In this league, are the Illuvials levels the same as the NFT levels, or are they separate? Depends which league you enter. If you enter the Carablu Cup, which is a newcomer-friendly league, we turn off all of the levels and stats. That way everybody has the same stats and levels. It's an even playing field, no matter what you own or don't own. But if you play in the Monarch Masters, like we saw just right now in this last matchup, that does have the specific stats and levels as a part of it. So hopefully that helps, and good to see you. In regards to streams for next week, what we'll be doing for Monday and Tuesday is probably going over some Obelisk Rising playtest once again. Of course, I've been very, very thankful that Illuvium was able to get me into the playtest, not just the test, but also with the allowance to stream. So I'm very, very thankful to be able to do that. We've had 2 awesome streams so far. Definitely, if you're curious about Obelisk Rising, do check out those VODs, because we've had a couple of incredible moments already, and it's giving me big, big hopes as to where this future of Illuvium and Obelisk Rising and the entire universe can go. We will be having House League, of course, on next Friday as well. Thursday, we're still trying to figure out what we're doing. Wednesday's going to be news. So we'll be back with 5 days a week of streaming going into next week as well. And then, of course, big thank you to everybody tuning in and competing here in House League as well. This is definitely a highlight of my week. It can be a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun when everybody else is having fun at the exact same time, and just watching some awesome matches. So thank you all so much. If you do wish to support me a little bit, there's a couple ways that you can do it. If you've not done so already, drop a like on the video or on the stream, and drop a sub on the channel. I've been trying my damnedest to make this channel specifically Illuvium centric without straying to anything else, and I've been having a fun time doing it. As long as I'm having a fun time, we'll keep doing it, regardless of what the future looks like, so to speak. So I'll just keep on doing it. The other way you can do that is actually in the Illuvidex itself. I do have a referral code that can be used on the Illuvidex to help give me a small kickback whenever you purchase fuel. Up in the top right hand corner, there is a slot for it in your profile. My code is Silent. Would love it if you can drop it in there, or drop whoever your favorite creator happens to be in the Illuvium universe. That way, when you're fueling up, it lets us fuel up a little bit as well. And it would mean the world to me if you did. Next Billionaire, good to see you. Subs are growing. I remember 204 last week. It's been a very good week. And it was doing pretty good, honestly, all things considered. When, or before the playtest even came through, and that's definitely helped accelerate it a little bit. And I'm going to keep on pushing. Regardless of how hot the topic is, the community's worth it. The game's worth it. And hopefully in the end, or it'll be worth it in the end no matter what. But is it just going to be for memories, or is it going to be for an amazing series of games? We may not know, but no matter what, we have the time that we have now, and that's all I can ask for. So I'll be closing out here for today. Thank you so much for playing. Thank you so much for tuning in, and regardless of if it's the deathmatch pit or the arena, good luck on your matches. Good luck on your training, Ranger. I'll see you next week with some more Illuvium. Take care, everybody.